Hello friends, and welcome to the channel, where we delve into the mind of a villain. In this entry, we'll be taking a look at the Riddler, or Edward Nashton, and Matt Reeves' the Batman. Bear in mind, we'll be venturing into spoiler territory, so proceed with caution if you haven't seen the film yet. Also, please note that some of the subject matter might be of a disturbing nature, and will not be for everyone. Now, with that covered, let's proceed. The film portrays the tension between different forms of vigilante justice. On one end, we have the Batman and the GCPD trying to clean up Gotham City as decently as possible. On the other end, we have the Riddler, a sadistic killer who has resorted to extreme and violent methods to eliminate those whom he deems guilty. While he was based off the real-life Zodiac killer, the Riddler was no typical serial killer. Unlike the majority of them who kill for enjoyment or for the thrill of it, the Riddler's primary motive was to punish his victims for their corruption and to cleanse the cesspool of a city, so to speak. No doubt he did enjoy himself and took pleasure in the process, but his goal was always to exact revenge for himself and for others who suffered under the corrupted rule of the city officials. The Riddler is motivated by resentment from the tragic childhood he experienced. And that childhood can be summed up in two words: empty promises. As a boy, Edward Nashton grew up as an orphan, living in Thomas Wayne's orphanage. The promise of the renewal program gave him hope, but that hope was soon dashed when Thomas Wayne was murdered due to circumstances arising from his association with Carmine Falcone. After that, the renewal program just became a breeding ground that fed the appetites of the corrupt politicians, judges, and police. Young Edward was left to fend for himself in the orphanage, often without his physical needs met, as he recounts that he would wake up screaming with rats chewing his fingers and watching babies die from the cold of winter. It's also suggestible that Edward received no care or nurture from any parental figure growing up, as he mentions that all his life he's been invisible. You can imagine what all the neglect and suffering would do to a child's development. Edward's only escape, his coping mechanism for the horrors of the world, was found in his fascination with puzzles, which is reflected with him leaving cryptic messages to the Batman at his crime scenes. Perhaps the song Ave Maria was of some comfort to him over the years as well, as he immediately sings it to help process the perceived betrayal he feels when the Batman labels him a psychopath. Now, as an adult, he is repulsed by the continued lies of the corrupt authorities, as each promise to clean up the city has proven to be just lip service. The corrupt only get richer and more powerful at the expense of the poor and the marginalized, while they painfully wonder, why us? And when the corruption reaches to the level of the mayor and the police commissioner, it's truly a system that looks to be beyond hope. Even with the vigilante efforts of the Batman for 2 years, crime rates have never been higher. As horrific as they are, the Riddler's actions are even supported by some of Gotham's public, who see him as a liberator of sorts. The Riddler must have seen no other option but to take matters into his own hands. It's possible that he must have tried other less extreme methods beforehand, but to no avail. In his own words from his diary, as read by Gordon, if you want people to understand, really understand, you can't just give them the answers. You have to confront them, torture them with horrifying questions, just like they tortured me. In almost all his crime scenes, the Riddler leaves behind the same words that sum up his mission: no more lies. There is a plethora of emotions released when the Riddler kills his victims. When he first strikes the mayor, he unleashes a rageful scream, as if he was finally letting out decades of pent-up resentment. We also see other spontaneous outbursts of anger peppered throughout the film. After the mayor is unconscious, what follows is a series of deep-labored sighs, perhaps to relish in the release of his anger and the satisfaction of his work. When he interrogates District Attorney Coulson with his riddles, he apparently enjoys the ordeal that he is putting the corrupt politician through, gleefully laughing while he begs for his life. While he was motivated by revenge, ironically the Riddler was inspired to carry out that revenge by the Batman. Both of them are vigilantes using fear and a little focused violence to achieve different ends, and to some extent Bruce feels that the corrupt officials had it coming. The Riddler sees the Batman as an ally and tells him that they are such a good team, much to his horror. From the Riddler's point of view, that is somewhat true, as the Batman was pivotal in supporting the Riddler's schemes, albeit unwittingly. The Riddler looks up to the Batman so much that when he gets rebuffed by him, he is shocked and devastated by this supposed betrayal. It is there that Bruce realizes his mistake, that he needs to change his approach in cleaning up the city before he inspires more reckless vengeance. Both the Batman and the Riddler share this similarity, that their civilian identities are their true disguise. The mask allows them to be their true selves, who they really are. But while Bruce dons the mask to fight crime, Edward dons his to serve his twisted means of revenge. And while we're on this topic of masks, it's worth taking a sidestep to suggest that the Riddler does not know that Bruce Wayne is the Batman, mainly for the following reasons. 1, he sends Bruce an explosive mail to kill him, but also attaches a letter in a fireproof envelope for the Batman to read. Secondly, in the interrogation scene with the Batman, the Riddler refers to Bruce Wayne in the third person as he, instead of directing it to the Batman as you. After that, the Batman looks visibly relaxed as he realizes his identity is safe. And thirdly, the Riddler himself mentions that trying to unmask the Batman is missing the point, as his masked self is who he really is. It's unlikely that he even bothered to guess who was behind the cowl. Up until the end of the film, the Riddler was successful in all his endeavors, being in complete control. He left no clues behind save for the ones he chose to, with his head cling wrapped to avoid leaving behind any DNA and his voice disguised by a modulator. Where once he was neglected and ignored, now he relishes the attention of the media, saying that they'll remember him now. The Riddler sees himself as a martyr, an unsung hero of society's oppressed, sent to deliver judgment to the corrupt oppressors. Even getting arrested and sent to Arkham was part of his master plan, as he would be safe there from the floods. But his one mistake, his one oversight, was the assumption that the Batman was on his side. And while the Riddler's hatred of the corrupt authorities is understandable, his actions are clearly in error. The justice system is far from perfect, but despite its flaws, an overarching principle applies, and that is that the punishment should fit the crime. Accepting bribes and conspiring with mobsters are indeed despicable crimes, but one can postulate that they are not crimes worthy of the death sentence, much more with the manner of tortured execution that the Riddler deals out. Also, the danger of self-appointed vigilantes is the fact that they sometimes target innocent people, whether intentional or not. Contrary to the Riddler's claim, he does not have all the answers. Take Thomas Wayne, for example. While he was indirectly associated with the death of the investigative reporter, Thomas Wayne was not a murderer, and he never imagined that Carmine Falcone would resort to killing the reporter. Thomas Wayne was even willing to surrender himself to the police and confess, which cast suspicion on him being killed by Falcone. Perhaps the Riddler was unaware of this fact, and had he known this, he might not be as resentful against the Waynes. Carrying on from this theme, the Riddler's resentment against Bruce Wayne is misguided to say the least. He resents Bruce out of jealousy for stealing the limelight from him and the other orphans. In his eyes, Bruce does not qualify for the title of an orphan, given that he never suffered the same fate as those in the orphanage due to his family's vast wealth. It is this resentment that causes him to target Bruce Wayne, and he does it in the name of punishing the son for the sins of the father. And as previously mentioned, an error of self-appointed vigilantes is that they sometimes target innocent people. Here we have Alfred being the collateral damage when he attempts to send Bruce an explosive mail. And for one last example of the innocent being harmed, we have the Riddler targeting the new mayoral candidate, Bella Real, via his followers. Here is a woman who appears uncorrupt, with a genuine desire to serve Gotham's citizens. Unfortunately, the Riddler is so jaded by false promises that he cannot tell when someone is truly genuine. Or more likely, he just doesn't care anymore. The Riddler's subsequent bombing of the seawalls and the resulting destruction from the floods might have killed innocent civilians who were not part of Gotham's corruption. So while the Riddler started off with a mission of exposing and punishing corruption, that soon degenerated into a psychopathic need for destruction to inflict the pain he feels onto the world. Overall, the Riddler was a victim of a corrupted society, one where the rich and powerful exploit the poor and the marginalized to keep them below their feet. He was a psychopath, driven to madness by the abuse he suffered as a child and the lies that were told to deceive him. With no recourse from the justice system, he sought out to punish the corrupt authorities, executing a vigilante justice that was misguided and disproportionate to the crime, not to mention hurting innocent victims along the way. At the end, his motives became as degenerate as his methods, committing crimes of an even more vile nature than the corrupted officials he despises. While he remains a pitiful and tragic character, he still has to be stopped. So what do you think of the Riddler as portrayed by Paul Dano, folks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a character that you'd like to see here as well. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to see more entries like these, and you can check out other characters covered here.